Okay, I think we are live. We have a cat who wants to be live with us. If you can see me and hear me, let me know. Give me a little reassurance. I don't have a demo for today, so I don't quite know how long this live will be. It might not be, a full hour, depending on how many questions we get in the chat. I'm really excited, though, to be here with all of you amazing artists. I've just been getting a lot of excitement about the bunny and a lot of emails about completed work, and you all are sharing your work with me, and I've just been having a blast looking at all of that and seeing what all of you are up to. I have had, especially I wanted to mention all of you that are sharing work that you've done using my techniques, but not necessarily like the following along with the fish tutorials or the bunny tutorial, kind of doing your own thing, but incorporating the techniques that you've learned. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's really cool, because I think that's fun. As an artist and myself, I struggle when I follow paint-alongs sometimes because the finished product doesn't always feel like it's 100% my art, even though it is 100% your art. Even if you're following a tutorial, other people are painting it too, and so it kind of feels a little less personal. So I think I definitely encourage you to take these techniques and everything you're learning and incorporating it into your style or subjects you're excited to paint. Anything like that, it would just be awesome to see. So you feel free to share that kind of art with me as well. And all right, cool. Some people are commenting here. I also want to show you, there's not a lot of people on yet, but going with that, talking about using the techniques for your own art, that's kind of where these resources really come in handy for you when we are talking about how to incorporate what we're learning into our own art. So we have the Watercolor Rescue Guide PDF, that's on YouTube, and it's likely been emailed to you as well. All these different ways to handle different problems you might encounter as you're painting so that you can kind of keep moving forward fast. And then the other resource guide, of course, is talking about the properties, and that's mostly so you understand what I mean when I say it in the videos, when I say things like weak mix or strong mix or blotted brush or wet brush. But this technique guide will really come in handy for incorporating these fun things we're learning into your own pieces. So take advantage of those PDFs. Print them out if you want to, have them handy on your computer or whatever works for you to try and see how, be creative about ways that you can incorporate it into the things that you're painting, because that's really fun. All right, Claire says, oh, she's in Florida. I've actually heard they've gotten some snow there, which is insane. That's gnarly. But is there a way for us to see everybody's work? Yes. So as people send me their work, I am actually putting it on my website. So let me pull that up and show you where it is on my website so that you can see it. I probably put it somewhere else too, eventually, just so it's easier to access. But right now I have it all on my website, aquilawatercolor.com/learn. So everything is here. I have to catch up because I've gotten, I think, about 10 emails the last few days with more art. So take a look at what everybody's doing. I've been so amazed. I feel so blessed that there's so many people who love watercolor and want to try these things. I've had especially a fun time looking at people painting the funky fish, because it's so fun how we incorporated those 4 different techniques to do the 4 fins. And I can clearly see that you all were using those 4 different techniques on the 4 fins. Really fun. And just practicing those techniques in that way will give you some major confidence to incorporate those into your own artwork. Super fun. So that has been fun to see. So that's where you can find all the student artwork so far. And the other thing I wanted to start with was, if you have a win so far from the program, let me know. That's what I want to hear in the comments. So tell me what your biggest win as you've been going through the program has been so far. I think it's easy to feel like we're behind, or where our art isn't good enough, or we don't understand a technique, or we don't have the right supplies, and kind of focus on the challenges of watercolor. But I'm guessing there's something that you've done that you're excited about, or that kind of moved the needle, or maybe you had an aha moment, or anything like that, that just, even if it was small, like, oh, I finally got the grainer brush and I'm really excited to try it, that counts. So just let me know if you had a win moment in the comments. I would love to hear. And I think other students would love to hear what your wins have been so far. The other thing I wanted to talk about, since we're kind of talking about playing catch up and maybe feeling behind, because we are at the end of our program. After today's video, we only have the bird paint along, this guy, who's going to be so fun, you guys, and 2 more lives. And that's it for the entire beginner program. So if you are all caught up, holy moly, congratulations, because it's been a lot of videos. And if you're not, you don't have to worry about it, because it's all on YouTube and you can watch them whenever you want to and whenever it works for you. But maybe putting them on your schedule might help make sure you do it. Whatever you can do to make sure you get what you want done. But don't feel like you're behind. I feel like I'm behind because I was up all with my parents this whole past week, which actually worked out really well since I already had those videos ready to go, the principal videos about color, contrast, and composition. So the timing was perfect, and I was able to go help my mom recover from surgery. She got 3 discs in her neck. Like, I don't really even know all they did. Her x-rays, they showed me the x-rays, and she's just got tons of screws and plates in there, but she had 3 degenerative discs and some nerve compression, so they fixed her all up, and she's recovering so well. We are very excited, and she's doing really great. So now she's in my dad's hands, and she's being taken care of, and my dad's doing a great job. So it was so nice to be up there. They were really happy that I could be up there. I was really happy that I could be up there, and thank you so much, everybody who emailed me and just gave me little hearts on Facebook and Instagram. I really appreciate that, because I know all of you have your own things going on in your lives. So just thinking that you were thinking of me is really, really sweet, and I really, really appreciate that. And she's doing very well. Okay, so yeah, 5 inches of snow in Florida. That's crazy. It's very cold up here, but that's nuts. That's fun. I bet that's fun though, because it probably melts really quick, and it's probably a really fun experience. Unless you have to drive, because if you're not used to driving in the snow, oh, that could be hard. And from Georgia, and from Germany, and from Australia. Holy cow, this is crazy. You guys are crazy. Wow. I love that all of you are tuning in. Thank you. Okay, I have a couple of things from YouTube comments and emails that we can go over. So I had somebody ask me if I could do some kind of tutorial about really loose, almost, if you think of Chinese or like Eastern watercolors, they typically are very loose, very heavy on brush strokes, loose, big, expressive, bold brush strokes, and high contrast. So a lot of black and white, pops of color like red. If you hokusai, the waves, like 36 views of Mount Fuji or whatever, his art is super cool. I kind of grew up learning about him. Anyway, Eastern watercolor, Eastern art could be a fun subject to dive into, especially just maybe a couple techniques or a couple ways to use really expressive brushwork and wet loose techniques in your art. So I definitely want to incorporate that into my upcoming videos. Like we said before in our last live, February is going to be, the subject will be dogs, but I'm going to incorporate some fun techniques in there. On Tuesday, we are going to paint Sully, and I have his tracing right here. He looks really big, doesn't he? But he kind of will look smaller once you see him on a big full-size sheet of paper. But when we paint Sully, he's going to be really heavy with line work and kind of high contrast black and white. And then there's going to be areas of Sully that aren't even painted, but have line work, some ink pen on them with the Uniball ink pen that I really like. So that's what we're going to do for him. And then we have a lot more dogs to paint, and I'm hoping to incorporate some of those fun, loose, expressive brush strokes in one of them. I want to do a Yupo painting. So that calendar with those kind of fun techniques, a little teaser of that, will be coming out next week. So stay tuned for that. And speaking of Sully, since we are painting him in the next live, so our next live will be different. It'll be a paint along the whole time. So I really won't be talking to you like this unless I can figure out the camera setup for how to do that while I'm painting. But it'll just be the paint along. So if you want to paint live with me, you'll have to have this traced out and ready to go. And I will upload the tracing and the reference photo to this live's video description right after it ends. And I will be emailing that out. So you will be able to get it before we do the live. It's going to be really a lot of fun. I kind of just wanted to test it and see, okay, how does this format work? How do all of you like this format if I'm literally painting a start to finish pet portrait during a live? And then, of course, we know that watercolor has drying times that you kind of have to do as you go. So I'm hoping to answer your questions during those moments where maybe I'm waiting for the painting to dry. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping it's a format that we all really enjoy, because I could see myself enjoying it, mostly because then I don't have to edit it afterwards. It's just done. So, because I've been spending a lot of time editing videos and it's eating into my painting time. So I was like, well, maybe that's a way that I could paint more and edit less. So I'm just going to try it out and we'll see if we all like it. We've had a lot of talk about the grainer brush, which of course is this brush with the sparse bristles at the top. And that produces our fur feathers. It is great for foliage and fur and feathers, anything where you need that sparse, brushy texture. Everybody who gets a grainer brush loves the grainer brush. So invest in a grainer brush if you paint fur, feather, or foliage. You will love it. People are loving it once they have it. And of course, if you painted the bunny ears, you saw that we used it for the bunny ears. And it's hard to duplicate that with other brushes. So just a shout out to our favorite grainer brush. Some people are asking for buff titanium alternatives. Buff titanium is basically what I use for white. And I use it because it's warm. Typically, if you're using a different or like a traditional white watercolor paint, it will be kind of cold. It'll have a blue undertone. I think, I'm not sure, honestly, because I haven't painted with these whites in forever. Ever since I found buff titanium, I just don't even use these other whites, except I use bleed proof white, P.H. Martin's bleed proof white sometimes. But titanium white, Chinese white, you can use something like bleed proof white. It does not have to be buff titanium. But I do love buff titanium. If you painted the bunny, you'll have seen how cool it behaved as we used it. It just kind of pushes colors away, and it's really neat. And it's a warmer white. So invest in that if you're excited about those things. But don't let that stop you from painting if you don't have it. Buffer colors. We had some people talk about buffer colors and how that has been really helpful for them. People who have been using buffer colors without even knowing that they're called buffer colors. So yeah, your purples and your pinks, your colors that will allow you to use your primary colors without having them blending into secondary colors if you don't want them to do that. So they're your in-between buffer colors. I had somebody ask me if the gel pen or the line work we do on the bunny is made with a gel pen or a roller pen. I think it's a roller pen. It literally has one of those balls in it. So it's just the Uniball Deluxe. And you can get them on Amazon in a 3-pack. They're super cheap. They're super awesome because you can kind of manipulate them right away, right after you use them. But then once they're dry, you can paint over them and they don't bleed. Very cool pen. Or I've had somebody just kind of lamenting a little bit that they feel like they've ruined their work at the end of their painting. And I think we can all relate to that. And I would just call that overworking it. And I think it's just something you learn with time, because it's very easy once you see something that you like when you're painting whether it's like you put a color down or you try this technique or you're splattering, right? And you're like, oh my goodness, that looks so good. You start to do it everywhere. And then all of a sudden it's not as exciting anymore because it's everywhere. So now it's kind of nowhere and it's lost its impact. So it's very easy to overwork your paintings. I think painting Sully on Tuesday, you'll see how impactful almost underworking your paintings can be. And you'll be encouraged to do that. There's so many advantages to almost underworking a painting because you're leaving so much up to interpretation from the viewer that they're going to be looking at your art longer because it's not all laid out for them. It's almost like solving a puzzle or finishing a sentence or a hook, right? For a social post where they're like, look what these 2 words, what Jeremy said, you'll never believe it. And you have to click on it because you have to know what Jeremy said, right? And it's the same way that with a painting, you have to fill in those details yourself so you're drawn to it. You have to do, I don't know why that is, but it is. So this painting on Tuesday will be kind of underworked in a way that will just make it so attractive. And I think that will help you because I'm going to share how I do it, how I approach it. But speaking of that, I want to show you a really cool thing. And so I talk a lot about editing your reference photo in Canva. So this is Sully, and this is the reference photo I was given. I made a call last year requesting dog photos to paint for my students. And it's been a whole year, so they've been very patient with me. And Sully, of course, is the most adorable dog ever wearing this little sweater. But here's the cool thing. So I have this photo, and here's how I edited it. You can see I increased the brightness, I increased the contrast, I increased the saturation. So all of a sudden, he went from this to this, and this is the photo we're going to work from. Because all of a sudden now we know, we're probably going to leave this really white up here. We're going to super saturate the orange that we see in these areas. We're going to ink pen these little details over here so we can tell he's wearing a sweater, but you're going to have to fill in a lot of those sweater details yourself. So in the contrast, we're going to make some areas super, super dark right next to these super, super white areas. And it's going to be so interesting. So I wanted to show you that because it's going to be so much fun. And that's another little hack for painting before you start is to edit your reference photo. So it kind of does the heavy lifting for you of where you should put those colors, where you can put those areas of high contrast. It's a great little shortcut before you paint to help you out with those painting decisions before you even have to make them. So edit your photos in Canva. Have fun with that before you start. And we're going to do it all on Tuesday with Sully. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then I had somebody ask me if I could do a class specifically on animal eyes. They've tried the bunny eyes, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. And I get that. Eyes are our challenge. And there's a few ways you can approach animal eyes. So I will try to just go a little slower and really explain that, especially in these live paintings coming up. So I'm planning to do, with our last 2 live paint-alongs start to finish, and we're going to start with Sully. So, and I like to start with the eyes. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I might actually put out a video specifically just about eyes coming up, but I will try to make it really beginner-friendly for eyes as we do these paint-alongs, because I know that can be a challenge. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the comments here. Oh, yes, the fires in California. I am so sorry. Those just, I couldn't imagine. That's just awful. And thank you. I'm so glad that you've found some peace with watercolor. I can see how that can happen. That's really good. So I've been doing each tutorial twice. That's great. Yes, and that's funny that you've noticed, Mary, a difference painting a painting on poor, like cheaper watercolor paper and good watercolor paper. Yeah, that'll do it. So if you're thinking, what, do I really need good watercolor paper? Just try painting on not good watercolor paper, and then you'll find out for yourself. paint along. A list of the materials ahead of time. I love that idea. I will do that too. I will put out, that's really good, Mary. Thank you for that suggestion. I will put a list of the materials we're using. I want to, maybe I'll even give you the whole painting plan because I'm going to plan it out with colors and steps. So I'll give you the painting plan, the materials, the reference photo, and the tracing ahead of time on Sully. The best way, if you don't want to miss those things, is to make sure you're on my email list, but they will obviously still be links to those things on YouTube as well. But if you just want to make sure you can paint live with me, which would be ideal because then you can ask your questions live too if you run into problems while you're painting. So that's an option, but I will definitely do that. I love that. My grainer brush is in the mail. I tried to make one. Oh, I love that. You're DIYing a grainer brush. Hey, I don't know. It could be cool. I wouldn't be opposed to trying a DIY grainer brush. It could end up making a cool looking brush. They actually have weird brushes like that on Amazon, like really odd looking brushes so that you can make really unique brush strokes. Just try stuff. I love that. Just try stuff. That's how I figured out pencil painting, you guys. I just grabbed my pencil and I was like, well, what happens if I just paint with this? If you saw the 4 techniques video, or I think I mentioned it too in the program. But anyway, sometimes just like trying something, you come up with these really cool, exciting, fun things to do. The buffer paint discussion has been so helpful to me. Makes pet portraits more interesting. That's awesome. Because it can be a little bit confusing too. Like, where do I put them? And why do I need them? So I'm glad it's been helpful because it can be a lot. So that is exciting. Okay, cool. We're kind of low on questions here. So I'm going to say this is my last call for questions. And I just want to make sure I went through everything I wanted to go through. Okay, cool. So yes, Monday is the bird. And we get to paint this guy. Here he is. It's going to be fun. And then we have 2 more lives, which will be live paint-alongs. So super fun. That's what we have planned. And then also next week, you can look forward to the February video calendar. I have found, I think that's going to be my secret weapon for teaching watercolor because it will keep me accountable to make sure I make the videos. And it kind of is helpful too because then I don't have to think about them after I plan it out. And you know what to expect from me and what videos you want to make sure you see live, all that fun stuff. So I don't plan on stopping those calendars anytime soon. Very excited to give you the February one next week. All right, we're kind of wrapping up. I don't have any new chat stuff. I was thinking this one was going to be kind of a shorter live just because I wasn't prepared to do a paint along or a demo today. And so I think we're going to call it. Thank you all so much for joining me again today. Thanks for being here for this short little live. And I am so excited for Tuesday's live. I know we have Monday, we have the bird, so we got to give the bird some credit. And paint the bird, right? But then Tuesday with the live paint along of Sully is just going to be a blast because you're going to love that kind of underpainted look, especially if you struggle with overworking your paintings. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I will get you all those resources that you need so you're ready to paint on Tuesday. But I will see you back on Monday for the bird. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend with all the crazy weather wherever you are. And just happy painting. Thank you so much.